A seat on the floor here, just kind of get settled. Start maybe in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Probably our whole group here. Oh yeah.
Go ahead and click that. Hold that record button until it pops up. Yeah.
Perfect.
Good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here. We got a smaller group today, which is kind of perfect. It's personalized to you guys, so definitely feel free to speak up about what you guys have. We definitely just want to talk about if you guys are dealing with some stuff and go through it together. Well, first off, I'm Dr. Emma.
I'm Dr. Cody.
And we are from Auto-Ness Physical Therapy in Scripps Ranch. That's by Lake Miramar. Our number 1 mission is to make sure that you guys don't have to freeze or cancel your membership here at F45 and that you really just stay healthy. We're so excited to be sharing our shoulder workshop with you guys. If you're here, that doesn't mean you have shoulder pain. It could be meaning that you want to stay healthy, avoid surgery, get to know more about how to prevent shoulder injuries in the future. So you're in the right place. Let's just go around here. Let's say name. If you have a shoulder injury, what it is, if you're willing to be comfortable and share with that, or what you're trying to get out of this workshop. So we'll start with you, Mark.
Mark, I got issues with my right shoulder. My neck muscles all get recruited whenever I'm trying to do stuff here. So, and I got shoulder pain all the time, sleeping and using it. So, I think it's rotator cuff related.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the muscle is that's all aggravated.
For sure. All right, right here.
My name's Erwin. I've had shoulder problems since January 2023.
Oh gosh,
Ooh, wow.
2023.
Oh, wow.
And been through, I was military, so I've gone through the VA system. I got help through the VA. They give me drugs, ointments to put on my shoulders. I'll be honest with you, I don't like taking medicine, so I didn't take it for very long. And I didn't really take the ointment at all. But I have gotten better since I've started at F45.
Sweet.
I think movement helps.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
think the diet helps as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak ill of Mexican food. I love Mexican food.
As do we,
But I know that the oils are probably not very good. I think I did have some inflammation.
Yeah.
So I think restricting my diet has, I think it's helped, and just reducing the inflammation, because I don't really have the pain that I had before.
Yeah.
I could not do lateral raises,
Hmm.
and it just felt painful every day.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you for sharing.
And
Yeah.
thank you too for your service. And I often find like that with ointments, things like that, the medications. Sometimes they're more of a band-aid, right?
Mhm.
And like you've gotten better coming with that 45, right, and working out.
Yeah,
So often movement is the medicine, the true medicine, right? The long-term solution is movement
good.
and actually working the areas the right way. And I'm glad you found success with that, because that's exactly what we're about.
Yep.
It's like movement is medicine.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm Jeff. A little over a year ago, the x-ray said I had some arthritis on the left. I'd say now it's a lot better, maybe 80%. But they also said your right's probably going to get it. And now my right is at best 50%.
Okay.
Today was extremely uncomfortable getting through the workout. I had to modify everything, shoulder related. And I'm taking Advil a couple times a day for it because it's starting to get up.
Wow.
So this was good timing for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
It's like we heard you. We came over. All right, let's go, Rudy.
I've been in an accident in February. I think I pushed the steering too hard to save myself. Nothing happened. Car got total better. So ever since my right shoulder has been bothering me, I'm unable to probably do any neck raises. It was not good. Shoulder, breast, pains a lot. So
Okay. Well, thank you guys for sharing for sure. Sydney, did you have any shoulder pain?
Yeah, what do you got?
So I think mine's from overuse from gymnastics and volleyball over
Okay,
the years.
yeah.
I had frozen shoulder at the ripe age of 21 in college.
Oh my gosh.
So I went to PT,
That's
got
intense.
manual work, got
Yeah.
it unstuck obviously, but even now, like I don't do back rack squats because I can't, like the mobility is so hard for me, and I'm also a side sleeper, so this is a really comfortable position for me.
For sure.
But even like trying to do like shoulder mobility warm ups, snap, crackle, and pop in a painful way, especially on the right side. So I deal with that pretty much on a daily basis. And as a trainer, like I can also feel when I do shoulder workouts or if I'm doing overhead presses that there's something off. Like it doesn't feel the same equally activated on both sides. I've been told I have like tight lats and that might be an issue as well. So kind of talked to a PTA about that before, but never seen a PT long term for it. So I was hoping to get some pointers on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sharing about your shoulder pain. Our outline really for today is that we are going to look at how you guys are moving. Auto-Ness really focuses on root cause, so making sure that mechanically you are really optimizing your performance so that you can really stay in the gym, and then also looking at long-term resolution so this never happens again. So we'll go over exercises as well. Okay. We did want to really talk and be transparent about the language that there is floating out there with shoulder pain, with imaging. Who here has heard of people having like bone-to-bone contact on their shoulders or their knees? Who here has heard about like you have to get your shoulder cleaned out, yeah? And that there's tendons in there that are hanging by a thread. So all that language obviously is it creates a lot of fear, and it really drives people to get surgeries. And the reality is, do you really need a surgery? And so that's what we'll be covering today based on research. 2 statistics that we want to go over today is 1, MRI findings. There is a study where with MRI findings, this is with low back pain, but I think it's transferable for all MRI findings, that MRI findings that have arthritis, stenosis, disc herniations, 70% of that are actually asymptomatic. What does asymptomatic mean? Does anyone know? You don't feel it. There's no pain. That's over half of the findings that have no pain. So the opposite's true, where 30% will have pain. But I really want you guys to marinate on, even if you have an MRI finding like arthritis, that doesn't necessarily correlate to pain. So have you think about that for a little bit. The second statistic is with rotator cuff tears. Now this study was in 2021, looked at 7 different studies for rotator cuff tears comparing surgery and physical therapy. After 1 year of follow-up, the results were the same. After 2 years of follow-up, the results were the same. So you can look at this both ways, where you can get surgery and have the same results as physical therapy. But I'm gonna guess if you are here at F45, you wanna avoid surgery. You wanna avoid taking time off of work, off of going to classes at F45. So what we're really gonna be looking at today is how can you avoid surgery and work in the midst of this pain, okay? What questions do people have about that so far? Any thoughts coming up? Have you guys heard of these studies?
I have stenosis, but I am trying to avoid anything by doing workouts.
Right. Yeah, which is why you're probably here at F45. Yeah. Anything else? Any other thoughts about that? No. Okay.
Something I'll add too, actually, with the surgeries is that the recovery is a long time, right?
Yeah.
You go under the knife, you get the surgical procedure done. Let's say it's like a rotator cuff repair. You come out of that, and it takes 6 to 8 months, right, to get full mobility, partial strength back, and then even longer than that to get back into the gym and doing overhead lifts, bench press, dumbbell pressing, lateral raises. It takes a long time. Versus with PT, often it could be, hey, a couple months of PT, working on these things, loading the correct areas, correcting any movement faults. You don't have to go under the knife, and you're better in 2 or 3 months. Yeah. Versus that long 6, 8 month to a year recovery. Yeah. With surgery, right? Another thing too, I'll say with rotator cuff tears, those are really, really common, right? Often we think about them, or they're conveyed in the image, as Dr. Emma had mentioned, it's like hanging on by a thread, right? We think of this thread coming from the bone, it's like barely hanging on when we're told we have a tear. In reality, think of it more as like a blanket, right? With a little bit of a hole in the middle, right? There's still structural integrity there. Is it the same as what it was if there wasn't the hole or tear? No. but it doesn't mean it's not strong and robust and highly adaptable. Right? So the way we think about these things is really powerful, right? And avoid, gets away from having maybe a fear avoidance mentality where, oh, I don't want to work it because I'm thinking it's going to pop or it's going to go.
Yeah.
It's completely going to tear on me. Okay? So that's important to know and think about too.
Yeah, the big thing too with shoulders is that it's one of the most, if not the most, mobile joint. So there needs to be a lot of stability around the shoulder. You have your rotator cuffs, but you also have your pecs. You have your biceps, you have your internal rotator. So there's so much going around the shoulder that you need to also take advantage of if you have a rotator cuff, if you have arthritis. So those are what the exercises are going to be covering today, is how do we take advantage of these other muscles to help support the ones that might be compromised at this point too, okay? All right, so next we're going to get into kind of some movements, see how everyone is moving, mechanically what is going on, and kind of talk through what we can be doing to help optimize your movement, especially in the gym here, okay?
Yeah. So we can have everybody just stand up real quick. Rise up, kind of spread out. Yeah. First one's just going to be looking at overhead mobility, right? We have to do this for things like overhead press, but also dressing and bathing, right? So let's see everybody just raise both arms up overhead as high as you can. Try to be nice and narrow. And I want everybody to do a body check real quick, okay, and think, how does that feel? Any tightness, any aches, any pains? And let's do a couple reps of that. So let's do that again. And keep that mental note. And then out loud, mention if you feel any aches, pains, stiffness. Yeah? Okay. Yeah? Yes? Commonality? Okay. Yeah. So we should be able to get our arms really all the way straight and vertical overhead. Like imagine you're going through like a scanner at TSA, right? You got to slide through. They tell you to put your hands up, right? It shouldn't be more like this, right? We want to be all the way mobile, neutral, and have it be smooth as well on the way up, okay? That's one. Push-ups, right? Common movement we do in exercise classes. So let's see everybody do a couple push-ups from the ground. Again, taking a mental note of, okay, do I feel strong? Do I feel my muscles engaging? And then any aches or pains and stiffness, okay? You feel that, huh? Yeah. The shoulder? Yeah.
Nice job.
In the front? Yeah.
Where are you guys feeling that? You guys feeling any shoulder pain with that?
Everybody?
Yeah. What about you, Erwin? Any pain, aches with that?
Yeah.
He's like, I can do 50. I can do more than Sydney.
To actually tease out areas of discomfort and
Yeah.
pain, right? Because maybe you're just doing a dumbbell press and it's 20 pounds, right? Maybe you don't feel it, but you actually make a fraction of your body weight now that you're moving with a push-up. Those issues, those underlying aches and pains become much more pronounced. Okay, so it's a great way to highlight if there's an issue there. Okay. So next we're going to go through 3 different exercises to work on, rotator cuff activation, mobility, but also just overall muscle engagement activation. Yeah. Then we'll do those same 2 movements again and see if they feel any different for you guys. Okay. So we're going to pass some bands around the room. Dr. Emma, help me. And then we'll walk through the exercises together. Okay.
All righty. There you go. There you go. Do you want a heavy one? This might be also light though. They should be pretty light too, because
So
you
I
want
want
to
you
get
to put them just around your wrists. Okay. You're going to have your arms essentially in the L shape. Okay. Yeah. So the first one we're going to do is really priming the muscles of the rotator cuff to activate and engage with overhead movements. Okay. So you're going to get L shape in the arms, press out into the band to build some tension. Okay, and then we're going to scoop up overhead. Don't lose tension in the band. Scoop back down. Come back towards your waist, all the way down. Okay, don't lose tension in the band. And we're going to go up a few more times here. Okay, nice and slow. Okay, nice and slow. Okay.
One thing to try is to keep those elbows in. That'll help turn your lats on to give better support to your shoulder. So make sure you have that nice and straight movement here. And if you can't keep your elbows in, then that's like a mobility issue that we need to address here too. You see how this left elbow rotates out? Good. Push your elbows together. Keep that up. Good. There you go. So then that's a mobility issue if you can get overhead.
So you already feel it fatiguing out with like 5-6 reps. It just highlights, okay, those muscles of the rotator cuff, are not as strong as they should be, right?
Yeah.
So we're really engaging them here, okay?
Yeah, go
They're
ahead and go
really
back
important
down.
with overhead lifts,
Good, I
okay?
think you're
Because with
left.
overhead lifts,
That
we need a
there,
lot of
and then go
stability
up.
at the shoulder. The muscles that do that are the rotator cuff. If not, extra torque and stress is going to go to the actual joint itself. So
little
things
bit
like
different, getting
arthritis,
those elbows
right,
in.
are going to be a lot more pronounced and painful, right? So we can get these muscles stronger, more activated with
That's
functional
the
lifts,
tight lat.
the better we're
That's
going to
there,
feel, okay? And things are going to move better, okay? The next one, well, actually, you take the bands back. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Cool. And the next one, I'm going to actually have Dr. Emma demo for us, and I'll talk through it, okay? So we're all in a second going to be laying down on the ground, but this is an exercise. We're going to do T's first. So it's really to work some of those smaller muscles, the rhomboids of that mid-back, right? Really critical muscles, again, with functional lifts, bench press, overhead press, push-ups, okay? So what Emma's going to do is she's going to keep her arms straight, thumbs up, and then squeezing her shoulder blades together, she's going to lift up from the ground, holding for 3 to 4 seconds, and then relax back down, and then repeat that, okay? By adding that hold and that good squeeze, you're really going to recruit those key muscles in the mid-back, okay? Rhomboid major and minor, okay? So I want everybody to try that, okay? Not moving a whole lot. It's a very subtle movement, only a few inches off the ground. Really critical, okay? And then Emma and I are going to walk around and take a look, okay? And with any of these that we do, guys, if something really hurts,
Let us know.
okay?
Okay, I'm
We don't
gonna-
need people
I'm
pushing
gonna
through discomfort and pain.
Adjust you here, so I'm gonna have you go right here.
Good.
Good. I'm gonna turn your thumb here. There you go. That's where you should feel it. That rotation is key. Okay, go ahead and go up. Good. It should be 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I'm gonna just adjust you here, Sydney. I'm gonna have you go up. Good. And then I'm gonna have you rotate your shoulder that way. Yes. And that should change it entirely.
Good. Couple more. Let's do a couple more.
Nice.
I get an impingement on the left side there.
Where do you get it?
Keep the forehead on the
Feel it
ground.
in the front, right here.
Yeah. So
You start
then
raising
that means
your
there's a
head and neck,
weak.
okay, you
Yeah,
might
and
get
I
some
feel
neck
more
discomfort in
activation
there,
on
and
the
that's
Yeah.
what
on this side.
Yeah. So that's where it doesn't lift up out of the way. So your shoulder has to go forward. Yeah. That's a really good note to make. So definitely left side weakness there.
That looks pretty good. Okay, everybody can come out of that position in like a kneeling or sitting. Okay, I want people to speak up about what they felt with that. Did you feel that recruitment in the mid-back between the shoulder blades? Yeah. Even the back was a little lopsided?
Yeah, I only really felt the rhomboids on the right, and on the left I had an impingement that I felt in the front that limited my range. My right could go a lot higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that really highlights too, like you had mentioned earlier, the asymmetry, right? The feeling of imbalance between side to side. A lot of times when we do these different exercises, it comes out, right? It really highlights what's that area that we have trouble activating is weak, and that's really critical to work on. And specifically too, in your case, when you talked about, okay, gymnastics and volleyball, were you right arm dominant? Yeah. So often what I've seen, I'm sure Dr. Emma as well, with people that do overhead sports or really dynamic activities, they tend to have imbalances side to side because they use one side more than the other all the time. Plus, they have a hard time activating some of those key muscles because they're doing a lot of these movements under speed and high load. Okay? Really important.
Yeah. Mark, I see you holding your shoulder here. Talk to us a little bit what's going on there.
When I do these, I feel like there's either like a muscle knot or something, and I have resistance in motion, and so then I recruit more of the neck muscles to try to pull the shoulder back more. And I'm always getting my neck muscles, so then I'm trying to not do anything, and I'm modifying everything to not use my neck muscles, but I'm not getting the mobility back in my shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a really good thing to note too, because we see that all the time with a lot of shoulder injuries is that there's a recruitment here first besides the smaller muscles. And that's where all the habit correction comes with physical therapy, and it should be translated down the road. But that's where we would work on manual therapy to open up that mobility so that you can use these smaller muscles to get that shoulder blades back and relax your upper trap. So really good note to make, and that requires a little bit more of like a hands-on approach. Yeah.
Another point I'll make on that too is it's really common for people to over-recruit their upper trapezius muscles,
Yeah.
right? Like our traps are really strong and big, and they should be, right? That's a good thing. But oftentimes, if the rotator cuff muscles aren't doing their job, that trap will kick in to compensate, right? So we'll see this shrug up overhead. And that's when you develop knots, tenderness, aches, pains in that area. And those take a while to rewire and get away from, okay? The one more, actually, I want to pivot a little bit and actually work on that. Actually, we'll do the bands one last time.
Yeah.
We're going to do this one. This one's
Okay.
overhead.
Oh, that's good.
I'll give you a couple more.
Yeah.
So let everybody stand up one more time.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
And then Cody's got one for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go around the wrists again. This time we're gonna have arms completely straight, okay? Now what we wanna do to avoid getting that upper trapezius to take over is we wanna drop those shoulders down and back, get that tension, and then slowly glide up, keeping that tension the whole time. Hopefully we can get all the way overhead now.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to note too, is that that's limiting your range of motion overhead. So it's good.
That trap, that's right on. So.
Yeah.
Maintaining that, what we don't want to see is then as we come up, we start shrugging to get up there, okay? 'Cause then that defeats the purpose. Yeah. So even if that's what you can do right now, that's okay, right? And then over time, the more you do it, the better you'll get and the more overhead mobility you'll get with that, without recruiting that trap all the time, okay?
So is that a weak trap or weak lat issue, or is it a tight lat issue, or is it both? If you have that, like if I stop here.
Yeah.
Because then I start to feel my shoulders come up, then what's the cause of that? Exactly.
I would say tight trap.
Tight trap.
What do you think?
I would say, yeah, it's a combination, and that's where getting a fuller assessment so that we can really dig in to see what's going on. Is it joint mobility? Is it your shoulder blade's capacity to follow your shoulder up? Is it it's probably a combination of everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. In the front? Yeah, when you go up overhead like that?
Now a little bit and more when we do a push-up,
Push-up. Yeah. Push-ups, and this goes with bench pressing too, either with barbell or dumbbell. When you get down toward the bottom of the range, it puts quite a bit of torque on the front of the shoulder and some of the structures there, whether that's at the joint or at the muscle. So sometimes that can be, and it's super common to be a provocative
is
position.
this joint or lat?
I have to look at it a little closer. Lat would be down here,
That's not lat.
and so not lat. More likely joint in nature. Okay. Yeah. The other thing I would mention too on the tightness and weakness, usually is a combo of both. I always like to say like a tight muscle is a weak muscle. Right?
Yeah.
Usually that tightness develops because we have the weakness there, and that muscle tries to contract. Like, don't load me. Don't make me work.
Because
Okay?
you need stretch as equally as you need contraction for strength.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing I'll say with what Curdy was talking about with that front shoulder pain, and you were talking a little bit about this with the T's, is that if you can't get your shoulder blade back to get that room for the front of your shoulder to move out of the way, your shoulder is going to dump forward, and of course that's going to create shoulder pain in the front. So that's kind of what's happening with there and with you with the T's right there. So that's why that excursion of those shoulder blades is super important to also translate to push-ups, chest press, all those. So yeah, lots of things going on with the shoulders, but that's why this is really important to understand why we're going over this with you guys.
Totally.
That's good stuff. Anything else? Any other thoughts that you guys noticed with these movements?
No, we're good. Yeah.
So anything you recommend to help this?
Sounds like
Should I
mobility.
keep-
Sounds like mobility.
And are we allowed to kind of do push-ups, slowly increasing strength, or?
Yeah, so that takes a lot of time of developing that habit of getting those shoulder blades to squeeze and then building the strength so that it stays and you don't have to think about it so much. So it's a week-to-week habit formation is really what we go over.
I guess are you asking like how do you modify it so that you don't have pain? When you're doing exercises, how should you modify
I
it?
was asking if there's any way to get rid of the pain.
Yeah. So it's, that habit correction, okay? Just really simplify is what these are things.
Happened, or is it like an injury?
Yeah, so it's a compensation of those imbalances that we talked about, where your shoulder is going to take the path of least resistance to really make sure you get these movements down. And then it creates some overload on certain structures like rotator cuff or maybe a joint. This is why you're feeling pain. Good question though.
Okay. So everybody can drop the bands down. Let's go back to those first two movements that we did right at the beginning and do like a test retest, okay, and see how they feel now. So let's come up overhead again, nice and smooth, thinking about that nice fluid motion without shrugging. And then come back down. Let's do 2-3 reps of those and see if that feels any different. And if it does, feel free to speak up, okay? Hurts less.
Okay,
That's good. All right.
That's
all
great.
right. That's good.
anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tightness.
yeah.
Yeah. But even doing, those were just 2-3 exercises, right? That can make a difference.
Right.
Now imagine if that was a more developed program, right? Doing that consistently too is going to help rewire things and make things feel a lot better for longer, right? And over time, get it to go away, okay? That one, let's do the push-up. What I'll say too with the push-up is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but it's a pretty common cue of thinking about like corkscrewing out, twisting the hands, okay? Often that helps get a lot of good like lat engagement, rotator cuff engagement, and can make push-ups feel better, okay? So down in the push-up position, think about, as I go down, I want to spiral my hands almost out, okay? As we go down, I'm corkscrewing my hands out. I come down, and I come back up.
Yeah.
I would say spread the floor.
Spread, yeah, that's great.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
Spread the floor.
Do that with like lower body for gluteus activation too.
That's
So
great.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Tear the paper towel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's very similar to with like bench pressing. People are told to like bend the bar. Same thing. Yeah, pull-ups too, bend the bar.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a nice way to get the lats a little more involved in the rotator cuff. And often, I mean, even in the presence of pain, it can allow push-ups to feel a little bit better. Okay?
Yeah.
So you can still do them at least. Okay.
Another note I do want to make on this, where the T translates into this, a couple more push-ups, I promise, is that when you're also incorporating that corkscrew motion, see if you can try to squeeze those shoulder blades together. That'll maybe help you bring a little bit less overload on that front side. So think about when you're screwing the floor or spreading the floor, you're gonna bring those shoulder blades together, touch the shoulder blades, get the lats involved, and come back up.
A little more narrow. Yeah.
Who knew there's so much to think about with a push-up, right? Good. Yeah, there you
A
go.
little too much. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Rotator cuff's typically the back. Now
Okay.
it does attach out to the lateral shoulder. Yeah.
How do those feel? Yeah, with those cues.
Arms they come in a little closer to the body when you're doing this
Right.
as opposed to being out here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having the hands closer in is a more advantageous position for the shoulder. It's just more stable. When we're out and wide, there's more torque on the front of the shoulder. It's a less advantageous position. Doesn't mean it's a bad position, right? It's good to do, but it just can help you to have it a little closer in. Shoulder's a little more stable, can use its force and power, feels better, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've noticed with these too, as we give these cues to involve the lats more, I've had a lot of our clients talk about how much more power they get with theirs, a lot more support that they get with their lifts. And from then on, that's where we start really quickly adding more weight and then getting to people to their goals. So something to add there as well.
Yeah, that's totally right. Like I had a client of mine last week, she's in her late 50s, but she had shoulder impingement on her right shoulder. And we finally got back to bench pressing the other week, right? Using that bend the bar technique, made it totally pain-free, and she's doing the bar plus 25 on each side.
Yeah.
It was really, really impressive.
Yeah.
So that was a huge breakthrough. But doing things as subtle as that, plus those other pieces of work in the rotator cuff with exercise can make a huge, huge difference very quickly.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Cool.
good.
Cool. Anything else you want to add on that? You good?
No, we can, yeah, we're gonna move into a question and answer time. If you guys have any questions off top of your mind that we can help answer, any more specifics. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, we're gonna open up the floor to you guys.
Is there a few like warm-up movements that people with shoulder issues should focus on before they do their F45 class? Because we have a warm-up period, but they're welcome to do whatever they need to do specifically for them.
Yeah.
Is there like 2 or 3 that you could give us to like maybe focus on to help with those issues to make class easier, like lat activations so that they use their lats and less on their shoulders and stuff like that?
Great question. Yes, definitely. The ones that we went over today. Yeah, the bands. I don't know if you guys have bands here.
We have like really mini bands.
Okay.
A little skinnier than this, but
Yeah.
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 You guys can always ask for these if you want them for warm-ups.
Yeah.
I would say a big one right off top of mind that you could do with these guys would like just be a banded external rotation really quick. You have 2 of your rotator cuff muscles are external rotators. So getting these guys primed before a class, like 2 sets of just like 10 reps can be really, really good, okay? Which is side note too, like with warm-ups, I tell this to my people all the time, like gym athletes, but also I see a lot of runners, like your warm-up doesn't have to be really ornate. Like it doesn't need to be crazy. Like couple sets of like 5 warm-up exercises with just some bands is often plenty to get the muscles primed, everything moving a little better so that when you get into the exercise class, right, here at F45, you're not starting cold, but also you didn't have to spend like a half hour before coming here priming stuff, right? You can come in here first 5 minutes, get some stuff done, and then have a kick-ass session.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, it takes a lot of intentional work about like what muscles are working too. And so that's what we work on with you guys is like, okay, what is the rotator cuff? How should I be feeling it? How should I be feeling it with these exercises in class? So don't worry if you don't get it right off the bat, and just know that this takes time to develop the right intentions around what muscles should be working and how to develop them too.
Yeah.
What other questions do you guys have? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So definitely uncovered a lot today. I mean, with the time that we had in the exercises we did, I think we were already able to make a little bit of improvements in how the shoulders were feeling today. And I hope you guys learned a lot too, just about the shoulder anatomy and exercises to do, right? And there's a lot of ways to improve our shoulder. Everybody,
So what about during the day? We know what to do before a workout on your shoulders, but what about throughout the day? What can we do throughout the day? Whether you're working in office, whether you're working in the field, or whatever.
Yeah, I got a good one. I would say, think about things like posture too, right? Like throughout the day, do these little posture checks today. Where are my shoulders at? Are they down and back? Right, not strict military posture, but like down and back, good mechanics versus I'm here all day long for 2-3 hours at a time. Okay, my shoulder's in a more compressive position, things tighten up.
Yeah.
Keyboard.
It's so hard.
Yeah, so doing those posture checks can be really, really good. The other would be something I like a lot, I learned from a mentor, is like movement snacks. Okay, so throughout your day, incorporate like, hey, I'm gonna do, a couple of those external rotations all of a sudden, right? Or every time I leave this room to go grab a snack, I'm gonna go do 10 push-ups, right? Finding ways to throw movement throughout your day is really, really good, right? Because then you can get a big volume, but doing it in much more manageable chunks throughout the day, and so that your shoulder's primed and feeling great all day long. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What about sleep? Like Cindy mentioned she sleep on the side. What about, what's a good posture, I guess, for if you have shoulder issues?
Most uncomfortable, sleep on your back.
See, I'm a back sleeper, and I'm a back sleeper. I would say, honestly, whatever's gonna get you a good night's rest is the best, because that's critical for getting appropriate recovery, right? Both from workouts, but just from healing any kind of an injury or ache or pain in general. Ones that I find can be pretty bothersome and provocative for people is like sleeping on your stomach with your arm up overhead like this. It's just naturally a more compressive position for the shoulder, and you wake up in the morning after being in that position for like 2-3 hours at a time, where then it's, oh, that's pretty cranky in the morning. Okay. Sometimes too, side sleeping. I mean, I sleep on my side, but let's say you have like right shoulder pain, you're sleeping on that right shoulder. Same thing. It's a compressive position. You're getting your body weight onto that for hours on end. It can be pretty bothersome. Okay. So if it's like a one-sided issue, I'd say sleep on your back or the opposite side, and then try not to do this or this.
Or when I wake up, I go in a door frame and I stretch out my chest and my lats using the door frame, or I just go against a wall and shift my hips back, like the first thing I do in the morning. already assist in fixing the posture later in the day if you kind of release that.
That's good stuff.
So that's like what I do already, or try to when I get up.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
good
good.
to do throughout the day as well.
Yeah.
Use the
Get some
door.
stretching,
Yeah.
Doorway
Yeah.
stretch, good to get the pec from the shoulder. I think too, like if you do a stretching routine in the morning, great, because that's when we're the most stiff, right? Helps make you feel better right off the bat. The other would be stretch also right before you go to bed.
Yeah, that's
Right?
good.
Because you've been moving all day, you're also a little more pliable, and you can get a lot better stretch out of it in the evening. Okay, so like the double whammy of those is a great recipe for success.
I had a question.
Huh?
Early in the morning and night.
Yeah, it would be like first thing you wake up, and then think about like half hour before you go to bed, do some stretches.
How do you guys feel about posture correctors, like those strappy things people wear?
Yeah.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have guessed. I was
Yeah, I already knew that. Yeah.
Because sometimes, I mean, they're not addressing like the root issue, right? Which is the muscles, right? You need
Yeah.
those back muscles to keep you nice and upright. You're just allowing a device to pull you there. As soon as you take it off, you're right back here, right? Because you're relying on an outside structure to do it. You're not allowing your body to train and work that itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes then it can become a crutch too. And I think of that a lot with my runners with like knee braces, right? They'll say, oh, I can only run when I have my knee brace on, even though there's really no damage or structural issue, and that fabric is really, really thin and really not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Another thing on that is too, with the tees, that is giving you the muscle and the posture correction you need that will sustain you later on. So that is kind of like your brace, as your natural body's brace to really keep that posture set for the rest of the day, so you don't have to keep thinking about it. So yeah, using the muscles to work for you and your body.
Yeah. That's great.
Great questions.
Those are really good.
Yeah.
Those are really good. Yeah. I think definitely, great session today. Thank you all for